Throughout NBA history, there have been many great players selected through the NBA draft. There have also been many trash players picked as well. Teams have been able to build contenders within 1 or 2 years of the draft using due diligence and having a bit of luck. While it may seem easy to select college and high school players that can change the course of your team, there have been many execs who have lost their jobs for making disastrous and idiotic selections. Today, we'll take a look at 10 of the best players the Philadelphia 76ers could have drafted. Before we get into this video, make sure to press the like button, the subscribe button, turn on your notifications, and leave a comment in the comments section. To set some of the ground rules, I'm only going to name the player the team did select in the draft once. In the follow-up videos, I'm only going to talk about the player the team should have picked. I'm going to go through every NBA team, so that means everybody is catching this smoke. So if I'm talking about your team, it's only their turn, it's not personal. Lastly, I know this is revisionist history, but hey, that's what we do on YouTube, tell you how you did it wrong. Now that that's out the way, let's start with the honorable mentions. These are players that made an impact on their teams. They might not have been superstars, but they were definite upgrades over the trash players the Sixers did wind up selecting in the draft. The first person is Kiki Vandeweghe. He entered the league in 1980 and averaged 19.7 points per game, 3.4 rebounds, and 2.1 assists for his career. Danny Ainge entered the league in 1981, averaging 11.5 points per game, 4 assists, and 1.1 steals. Doc Rivers entered the league in 1983, was an NBA All-Star, and averaged 11 points, 5.7 assists, and 1.8 steals. Now, let's get into the countdown. Number 10. Latrell Sprewell. In 1992, with the 9th pick of the first round, the Philadelphia 76ers selected power forward Clarence Weatherspoon out of the University of Southern Miss. He would wind up making second-team All-Rookie and would hold career averages of 11.5 points, 7.5 rebounds, and 1.5 assists. Not terrible numbers, but not the kind of numbers your team needs for a cornerstone player. Not that this guy was one. He would play with the Sixers from 92 to 98, which was kind of on the short side for a first-round pick. Whoever made that pick would live to regret it, because with the 24th pick, the Golden State Chef Currys selected Latrell, I'll choke my coach, allegedly, Sprewell out of the University of Alabama. Sprewell will go on to be a 4-time NBA All-Star, would get first-team All-NBA in 1994, earned All-NBA Defensive Second Team in 94, and NBA All-Rookie Second Team in 93. His career averages of 18.3 points, 4.4 assists, and 1.4 steals per game made him one of the better wing scorers in the 90s. Not only was Sprewell a decent scorer, but he was also a solid defender that could have helped stretch the floor on the Sixers. He was known for his athletic ability as well. Look, I'm not saying that Sprewell would have changed the course of the team, but when you compare these two player stats, you can clearly see that the Sixers definitely made a mistake. Not only that, but they could have even traded back a bunch of spots, gotten a few picks, maybe some Five Guys burgers for old Clarence Weatherfork, and still could have drafted Spree with the 23rd or 22nd pick. Regardless, he was part of the 99 Knicks team that challenged the San Antonio Spurs for the NBA title, and they were only the 8th seed. He would also team up with KG and Sam Cassell in Minnesota and will make it to the Western Conference Finals. So, he may not have been a superstar, but he would have been a definite upgrade over Clarence Weatherspork. Number 9. Penny Hardaway. In the 1993 draft, with the number 2 pick, the Philadelphia 76ers selected Shawn Bradley from Brigham Young University, which is R. Kelly's old stomping grounds. Bradley was highly touted for his defensive abilities and his size. He was 7'6". Still, he was never expected to be a game-changing, dominant big man. He was a decent center who habitually got dunked on and manhandled, but so what, at least he was a second-team All-NBA rookie. Jokes aside, he did lead the NBA in blocks in 1997, but that's about it. He averaged a pedestrian 8.1 points per game, 6.3 rebounds, and 2.5 blocks per game. You see the problem? Now, I'm trying to be nice, but this dude was 7'6" and averaged 6 rebounds. Bust. One pick later, the Golden State Chef Curries, who traded this player to Orlando Magic, selected Penny Hardaway to team up with Shaq at the Mouse House, no Takashi. He was a 6'7" point guard shooting guard from Memphis State. During his career, he was a 4-time NBA All-Star, a 2-time All-NBA First Team player, All-NBA Third Team in 97, and All-Rookie First Team in 94, along with a bunch of other collegiate and high school awards. In less than 3 years, Penny and Shaq pulled up on the Houston Rockets in the finals and quickly got packed up and folded. For his career, the Foamposite God averaged 15.2 points, 4.5 rebounds, and 5 assists. Now, these numbers might not sound all that amazing, but compared to Sean Bradley's numbers, it's safe to say Penny is clearly the better player. I mean, clearly. And I have to add context. Penny's career wound up being derailed by major ankle and leg injuries. Unfortunately, Penny's on the list of stars that would have been legends if it wasn't for the fact that they were built like Mr. Glass. But regardless, when healthy, he was a tall guard who could defend and facilitate the ball while giving his ops buckets. You can only imagine what a team with Penny Hardaway and Allen Iverson the next year would have been like. Penny's height would have made them a fast and versatile backcourt that would have collected ankles and pried by the minute. Like I said before, Penny did face a lot of injuries, but I think that would have been one of the most dynamic duos ever. Penny with his passing and AI with his scoring and handles. Also, when AI got to the league, he was forced to play point guard because of his size, but his natural position was at shooting guard. Now imagine how much more damage he would have done without the responsibility of running the offense. I won't say that this was one of the most egregious picks because Penny's career ended up being cut short, but that would have been one of my favorite 1-2 combos of all time. Number 8, Rajon Rondo. With the 13th pick of the first round of the 2006 NBA draft, the Philadelphia 76ers selected Thabo Sefolosha, a pick they wound up trading to the Chicago Bulls. Thabo earned NBA All-Defensive Second Team Award in 2010, and for his career, he's averaged 5.7 points, 1.4 assists, and 3.7 rebounds. Numbers like these make me think he's not trying. Thabo has always been considered a good defensive player, but as you can see from these stats, if you want to call them stats, he's pretty worthless on offense, which, is kind of the whole point of the game. And he's not a consistent shooter from 3, which has always hindered his ability to spread the floor and allow the good players on his team to have space so they can actually score and try to win. Later in the draft, the Phoenix Suns selected Rajon Rondo from the University of Kentucky, and then they traded him to Boston. Rondo is a 2-time NBA champion, a 4-time NBA All-Star. He's also been on an NBA All-Third Team, a 2-time NBA All-Defensive First Team winner, a 2-time NBA All-Defensive Second Team Award winner, and a 3-time NBA assist leader, and also was the NBA steals leader in 2010 and NBA Rookie All-Second Team in 2007. So right off the bat, Rondo body bags Sefolosha's career, flatlines it, TKOs it. Now, they have the same weakness in that they both have never hit a jump shot in this life or any past life or alternate dimension, but being that Rondo's one of the greatest playmakers of all time and a good defender, he would have been an immediate upgrade over Thabo, especially for a Sixers team that, before Ben Simmons' arrival, went a long time without having great playmaking. Now, a lot of people will say, well, he might not have been the same player if it wasn't for the fact that he played with KG, Ray Allen, and Paul Pierce on the dominant team that won the championship in 2008. You could say that, you'd be wrong, but I won't judge. At first, he might not have had the same level of success, but I'm pretty sure that he would have been able to push the Sixers to a better record. To be clear, this is not a knock on Thabo. The league is full of equipment managers that suit up because the bench needs warming. Nah, jokes aside, making it to the NBA, regardless of who you are, is an achievement in itself. Psych. But there are levels to this, and it's clear that Rondo is levels above. The Sixers would have had to put shooters around Rondo in order to keep spacing, and they would have needed a primary scorer, but he would have been able to pick defenses apart and would have wreaked havoc on the defensive end, pressuring other ball handlers, getting steals, and opening up the transition game. Number 7, Jeff Hornishack. In the second round of the 1986 NBA draft, the Philadelphia 76ers selected guard David Wingate from the University of Georgetown. Wingate wound up playing with the Sixers for only 3 years. He didn't win any awards in the NBA and averaged 5.6 points, 1.9 rebounds, and 1.9 assists. I'm not going to slander this man too much because he was a second round pick, but that's just, you know what? I am going to slander him. I know cab drivers that put up better stats than that. But anyway, 2 picks later with the 46th pick in the NBA draft, the Phoenix Suns select guard Jeff Hornishack from the University of Iowa State. Jeff Hornishack would become an NBA All-Star in '92, a 2-time NBA three-point contest champion, and had his jersey retired by the Utah Jazz. He averaged 14.5 points, 3.4 rebounds, and 4.9 assists. Once again, context is key. These numbers ain't superstar level, but when you compare those to the numbers of David Wingate, it's night and day. Not only that, but Hornishack played a pivotal role for the Utah Jazz, helping them reach back-to-back NBA Finals in '97 and '98. He was considered the third key piece along Stockton and Malone. Now, if you take a player like him who played with a lot of grit and could play make for your team, one can only imagine what that would have done for the Sixers, especially in the '80s when Charles Barkley was tearing up the league, but needed help. Simple as that. Number 6. Mitch Richmond. With the 3rd pick in the '88 draft, the Philadelphia 76ers selected Charles Smith, a power forward from the University of Pittsburgh. They wound up trading this pick to the LA Clippers. So first, we would need them to keep this pick and not choose this guy. Dude is worse than your My player in 2K when you have the brown shirt and gray sweats. Regardless, Charles Smith averaged 14.4 points, 5.8 rebounds, and 1.4 assists. Those are definitely not bad numbers, especially since he wound up being selected to the NBA All-Rookie First Team. And he had a bunch of awards coming out of college, but good ain't good enough. And yo, it ain't good enough. Mitch Richmond averaged 21 points per game, 3.9 rebounds, and 3.5 assists. He would become an NBA champion in 2002 with the Lakers. He was a 6-time NBA All-Star from '93 to '98. He was an NBA All-Star MVP in '95. He was a 3-time All-NBA Second Team, 2-time NBA All-Third Team, and NBA Rookie of the Year award winner. Along with being NBA All-Rookie First Team, he also had his number 2 jersey retired by the Sacramento Kings. On top of that, Bleacher Report on their top 100 NBA players of all time ranked Mitch Richmond number 95. Had the Sixers not traded their pick and drafted Captain 55 overall, they could have had Mitch Richmond, arguably a top 100 player of all time. A player who could always give you buckets, and he was a solid defender. Not only that, but he was 6'5", 220, which gave him good size at the 2-guard position. He would have been a player that would have lined up with Charles Barkley and would have formed a formidable 1-2 punch to be able to compete in a very deep and difficult Eastern Conference. Now, I don't want to diminish what Charles Smith became, because with a few VC packs, he would have become a shot-blocking paint beast, but it's obvious that any team, but specifically the Sixers, could have used Mitch Richmond's help to be able to compete with the bad boy Pistons, the Celtics, led by Larry Bird, etc. Number 5. Manu Ginobili. This one, in hindsight, is one of the worst ones. In the 2nd round pick of the '99 draft, the Philadelphia 76ers selected Todd, why God, no! McCulloch, with the 47th pick coming out of Washington University. For his career, this assassin, the original White Mamba, scored 1,300 points. Allow me to reintroduce myself. 1,300 points for his entire career. Todd grabbed 888 rebounds and 177 blocks during his time breathing on this earth. There are players that do that in a season, regularly, constantly, consistently. If you care, cause I sure the fuck don't, Todd the God averaged 6.1 points, 4 rebounds, and 0.8 blocks. Couldn't get the other 2, huh? Figures. He didn't win any awards on the basketball court, so he would drive the team bus instead. I don't know if that's true, but it sounds like it should be. White Mamba my ass. 10 picks later, the San Antonio Spurs, with the 57th pick in the 2nd round, selected Manu, the Euro step messiah Ginobili, coming out of Viola Reggio Calabria, Italy. I don't know how to say it. Sorry, Reggio Calabria. Don't slander me. I'm from Harlem. Now, you're gonna have to bear with me because there's a lot of accolades and stats to go with this man's career. He averaged 13.3 points. It doesn't sound like a lot, but he scored 14,000 points. Had 3.8 rebounds per game and 3.5 assists per game. But this is the important part. Manu Ginobili is a 4-time NBA champion, a 2-time NBA All-Star, a 2-time NBA All-13 player. He's won NBA Sixth Man of the Year and All-Rookie Second Team. He's also had his jersey retired by the San Antonio Spurs. Not only that, but Bleacher Report has him ranked as number 75 all time. So imagine Allen Iverson having a young, healthy Manu Ginobili to help him go against Kobe in his prime and Shaq in his prime. It's pretty clear that LA would have still mopped the streets with him, but it would have given Iverson a better chance to have a facilitator and someone that could score and defend, helping him out against Kobe. Even though Shaq was in the paint, elbowing and choke slamming Mutombo, taking years off of his life. Y'all ever wonder if Mutombo could do Cookie Monster voiceover work? Sorry. Ginobili was known for taking ill-advised shots at times, but he could hit shots from the perimeter, could drive it into the lane, popularize the Euro step, and he could also take some of the attention and ball handling duties from Iverson. When you compare that to Todd, how could you? It's obvious that almost anybody would have been better than this future Greyhound Employee of the Month. I know I sound like I'm hating, but it's not hating if it's true, or maybe I'm just truthfully hating, eh? Number 4, Tracy McGrady. Whoever made this pick should throw themselves in front of traffic. With the second pick in the 97 draft, the Philadelphia 76ers selected Keith Van Horn, a scrub out of Utah. Keith Van Horn was a perpetual bum who made NBA All-Rookie First Team in 98 and then went on to do nothing else in this world. He did wind up averaging 16 points, 6.8 rebounds, and 1.6 assists. I also remember that his career was kind of derailed from injuries. When you look at those stats, you can see that he wasn't that bad of a player, but with the second pick in the first round, you're expecting somebody that could change the fortunes of your franchise. You can see that he wasn't that bad of a player, but with a second pick in the first round, you're expecting somebody that can change the fortunes of your franchise, that can lead you, hopefully, to titles and winning. Unfortunately, Van Horn just wasn't built for that life. But moving on, we have Tracy McGrady, who averaged 19.6 points, 5.6 rebounds, and 4.4 assists. Now, you might say, well, look, he didn't average that much as opposed to Keith Van Horn, which at first glance might be true, but a lot of his stats wound up being brought down from the fact that he played with back issues and was out of his prime for a long time, but stuck around. For a good portion of his career, starting from 2000, he averaged 27 points, 25.6 points, then 32, then 28, then 25, then 24, and 24 again. So for 8 years, he was a plus 25-point scorer. T-Mac was also a 7-time NBA All-Star, a 2-time NBA First-Team player, a 3-time NBA Second-Team player, 2-time NBA Third-Team player, and 2-time NBA scoring champion, and NBA Most Improved player as well. He's also in the Orlando Magic Hall of Fame. Not only that, but Bleacher Report ranks T-Mac as the 62nd best player of all time. So, had the Sixers drafted T-Mac around the same time that AI won his MVP, they would have had 2 true superstars. Who knows, with T-Mac helping Iverson, they might have had a chance against the Lakers. If not a deciding factor, he could have definitely made the series more competitive between these two teams. At 6'8", 225, T-Mac had the size and athleticism to be able to guard Kobe. I'm not saying that he would have stopped Kobe because nobody on earth is able to stop him, but he would have been a better option than anyone on the Sixers. Ever heard of Aaron McKee and Eric Snow? I'm kind of tempted to take prime T-Mac and put him on the 76ers roster for the 2001 season and simulate it in 2K to see what Iverson and T-Mac together could have accomplished. So yeah, I won't lie to you, this is definitely one of the worst picks the Sixers ever made, but wait, it gets worse. Number 3, Tony Parker. We have another bad one, folks. Somebody took some doofus juice. With the 26th pick in the first round of the 2001 NBA draft, the Sixers selected Samuel Dallenberg out of the University of Seton Hall. Now, let's say it all together. Who? And if you're asking yourself who this roster paperweight is, it's with good reason. For his career, Samuel averaged 7.7 points, 7.8 rebounds, and half an assist. He didn't win any awards in the NBA, but somehow he managed to milk the Sixers for millions of dollars over 9 years. That's child support divided by 2. Hold on to your seats, ladies and gentlemen, because it gets better. Samuel made over $88 million in his career. He must have some serious goons on his payroll because this makes no sense. But shout out to him for scamming and finessing the NBA out of almost $100 million for doing nothing. Moving on. No wait, $88 million? How? Anyway, for his career, Tony Parker averaged 15.5 points per game, 2.7 rebounds, and 5.6 assists. Not only that, but he was a 4-time NBA champion, NBA Finals MVP in 07. He was a 6-time NBA All-Star, a 3-time All-NBA second team player, All-NBA third team player, NBA Rookie first team, and had his number 9 jersey retired by the Spurs. To go along with that, Parker is ranked number 60 all-time by Bleacher Report. To go along with that, Parker is ranked number 60 all-time. To go along with that, Parker is ranked number 60 all-time by Bleacher Report. A lot of Parker's success is due to Greg Popovich. He pushed Tony to the brink, pushed him to work harder, to be better. If you've seen some of the documentaries around the Spurs, they've both talked about the fact that Parker was on his way out of the league, and it was Greg Popovich pushing him and forcing him to become better. And that turned Tony into the player that we all know him to be now, which is one of the greatest point guards of all time. All I can say is that Popovich brought out the talent from Tony, so we don't know if he would have been the Tony we all know today had he been drafted by the Sixers. But if they stuck with Samuel Dallenberg for 9 years, I'm pretty sure they'd give his grandchildren max contracts. I feel like he would have shined eventually. Imagine a team with Tony Parker and Allen Iverson together, along with some of the other players that we've said that they've missed, like Tracy Mcgrady. One can only imagine what Tony and AI could have accomplished together. I'm not sure that their games fit. In the context of the early 2000s when they played, it would have fit just because shooting threes wasn't as important as it is now. They both could create their own shots. They both were solid enough defenders. They would have been a small backcourt, but I think their athleticism and speed would have made up for that. So yeah, Samuel, please don't send the goons after me, but you're still trash, my G. Number 2, Dirk Nowitzki. The Sixers selected Larry Hughes with the 8th pick in the first round of the 98 draft coming out of St. Louis. Now, I'm not going to violate Larry because I actually was a fan of him, but you know, I have to try to be unbiased. So, unfortunately for Larry, I lied. He was the bum of all bums. Now, I'm just joking. Larry Hughes averaged 14 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists, which are not bad numbers, especially when he went on to be NBA All-Defensive First Team Player in 2005 and he was NBA Steals Leader in 2005. So, if you look at the stats and you look at his accomplishments on his own, you can say, well, it looks like he was a solid player. He was definitely a decent role player to try to match up alongside Iverson, but he only played with the Sixers for 2 years and then wound up going to the Golden State Chef Currys. Instead, the Sixers could have drafted Dirk, who was chosen with the 9th pick. Dirk averaged 21 points, 7.5 rebounds, and 2.4 assists per game. At the time of this video, Dirk is ranked number 6th all-time in NBA scoring. Dirk is an NBA champion, an NBA Finals MVP, a 14-time All-Star, a 4-time All-First Team player, a 5-time All-NBA Second Team player, a 3-time All-NBA Third Team winner. He is in the 50-40-90 club. For those who don't know what 50-40-90, it's having a field goal percentage of 50%, shooting 40% from 3 and 90% from the free throw line. He's won a 3-point contest. Mind you, he's a power forward. So Larry Hughes' stats were definitely nothing to sneeze at, but it's obvious. Dirk is one of the greatest players of all time. Where you have him ranked is up to you. Bleacher Report has Dirk ranked number 19 all time. You know, you can make the argument that he's top 20 all time, maybe top 15. And unfortunately, Larry, he was just okay. If you think about what Dirk was able to accomplish, imagine that on the Sixers team with Iverson, Tony Parker, T-Mac, and the person coming up at number 1. Dirk's ability to stretch the floor, create his own shot, and shoot over defenders would have made the team impossible to guard. Number 1, Kevin Garnett. With the 3rd pick in the 95 draft, the Philadelphia 76ers selected Jerry Stackhouse, a shooting guard out of the University of North Carolina. I'm about to read you his stats, and at first glance, if you didn't know who they could have had, you'd say Jerry Stackhouse gets buckets. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm gonna shut that shit down real quick. Stackhouse averaged 17 points, 3 rebounds, and 3 assists per game. He was a 2-time NBA All-Star and NBA All-Rookie First Team player. Stack was able to get buckets. He had good athleticism, good explosion, and was able to create his own shots and get into the paint. Plus, he had good size at 6'6". Unfortunately for the Sixers, he only played with them from 95 to 98. And then he has to be traded because he didn't want to be AI's sidekick. He wanted to lead his own teams. So, to the Pistons he went, and that didn't last long either. And he accomplished absolutely nothing there. But had the Sixers not selected Scary Jerry, they could have had KG, the big ticket Kevin Garnett. For his career, he averaged 17.8 points, 10 rebounds, and 3.7 assists. This is another case of looks could be deceiving. Their stats might not seem different, but they are because KG played long into his career and he wasn't the same scorer anymore. Regardless, he's an NBA champion, a one-time NBA MVP, a 15-time All-Star, NBA All-Star MVP, a 4-time first-team player, a 3-time second-team player, a 2-time third-team player. He was a Defensive Player of the Year, a 9-time NBA All-Defensive First-Team Player, a 3-time All-Defensive Second-Team Player, a 4-time rebounding champion, NBA Rookie Second-Team Player. Okay, that's it, I guess. Bleacher Report ranks Kevin Garnett number 15 all time. Now, a lot of people might say, well, wait, why do you have KG over Dirk Nowitzki? Well, I'm a fan of complete players. With that said, you ain't safe, Stackhouse. You were a waste of a pick for the Sixers. If they would have had Kevin Garnett in 95 and then Iverson in 96, I think their games would have complemented each other. KG could score, but he really built his career on defense and trying to shut down the other team's best big man. Did Jerry do that? No, and I don't care that he's a 2 guard. Had him and Iverson been able to play together, the skies would have been the limit, and they would have been a 1-2 punch other teams couldn't stop, especially any team Scary Jerry was on. So yeah, man, that's the list right there. These are the first 10 players that the Philadelphia 76ers could have drafted but didn't, and they've paid the price for it because they haven't won a championship since the 80s. Let me know who you think I left out. Matter of fact, don't, because part 2 and 3 are dropping soon. Who would you have drafted if you had the ability to go back and draft these players? You can pick 2. Let me know in the comment section below. Make sure you press the like button, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the flip side.